month. The dates of all the PTA meetings are on this little piece of paper. Please take one home. Please, I come bring it with you next month. We're going to start with please stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to call the PTA meeting to order, and we're going to actually break protocol and have Ms. DeAngela speak to you first because she needs to get over to the boys' basketball playoff game tonight.
Yes, hi. I'd like to report that the girls just won, so they're moving on. Our varsity girls team, they just won downstairs with 71, I don't even know. I have it. But they won, so that's a good thing. But I'll tell you exactly really fast. It was 91-77. So our girls won, they're moving on. The boys are playing tonight against Farrell, so it's a pretty important game. So I want to be there for the boys, so I'm going to zip out of here because the parking there is horrendous, and I'm already getting calls that it's a zoo over there. So just a couple of things I want to update you on. Some real exciting facility news. Culinary room is open. The kids are in. Super excited about it. Shelves are stocked, and the kids are already starting to prepare foods. We're going to have a grand opening, and we'll announce it as soon as we pick a date. We still have to get a final sign-off from the construction company. We have entrance, but we don't have final sign-off, so we're waiting for that. I just received really exciting news. I know my staff doesn't want to hear this because when I arrived in 1999, my anniversary is March 1st coming up. But when I became principal in 99, as the years have gone on, everybody says, oh, when are you retiring? When are you retiring? And I kept saying, when I have to move back, right? When I have air conditioning in the auditorium, then I'll retire. And we knew that it was like a never thing. I mean, I've been fighting for it, I think, since March of 1999. Well, it's coming. So we are getting an upgrade to the air conditioning system for the whole school. And they're actually going to finally connect it to the auditorium. There's all plans in place. It might not happen for another year or so because they're in the designing and bid phase right now, and then there's 2 other phases, but it's there. It's in the near future. So that'll be great. If you haven't heard, we have a brand new boys' bathroom out here. It's great, and the kids are thrilled about it. We're really trying hard to keep them from throwing those vape cartridges down the pipe so they don't ruin the new bathroom. And the girls' bathroom is gutted right now, and they're hoping that by the time we get back from vacation that the girls will be back into there. We've seen that the kids are keeping this one cleaner, and they're respecting it because it looks so nice. I'm hoping that continues. We have Friday morning, we have a walkthrough because they're doing an upgrade of our science labs. So that's really exciting because that has not happened in over 20 years. We heard word that there's a possibility that within the next year we may get a new softball field. So they will do the softball field first before the baseball because they can't ride the equipment over the baseball field once they fix it. So they have to do the inner one first and then the outer one. But we're slated for both, and hopefully the softball will start in the next year. But they are in the interim giving us new baseball bleachers because the ones that are there are not in good shape. Spring supports are underway, so we have PM school, evening school, Saturday school. We have Saturday tutoring will be announced soon for regions. Homework help is already underway. What's important to note is that for the first time we allowed freshmen who failed first term to go to PM or evening or Saturday school. So we're trying to start them early. Usually we don't let them start right away because we don't feel like they're mature enough to handle the after school and the regular school, but we decided to let them in. And we're going to monitor how that goes, and if it works well, we'll proceed with that. Some senior information. So we're going to do senior awards a little differently this year. So any of you who have older children know that award ceremony is forever. because we announce all honors for every subject area for every kid, plus the special awards, plus the monetary awards, plus the memorial awards. It goes on forever. And so a kid who, let's say, is getting one award for highest honors in phys ed, they stay the whole night for all these other awards, and so do their parents. And so what was happening last year is when they realized they probably weren't getting another award, they were getting up and leaving, kids were walking out, people were going and have a cigarette, and it was really disruptive. So we decided that we're going to have the majority of the content awards and the special SLC awards at an SLC dinner for just the students in that small learning community, which I think will be really nice, because the kids really, the staff will come because they like, they're connected with the kids. We don't have the staff come there, there's not enough room. So at least the staff will be there. And then the special awards, the memorial awards and the money awards, that will still take place at the Hilton, and it'll be less because the students who are just getting content awards and achievement and honor roll, that stuff will be given in the SLCs with the students and the staff and the parents. And there'll be food, there'll be dinner for already, that will be provided by us for the parents. It'll just be a nice aesthetic. Graduation, in case you didn't know, was moved to the 26th because when we received the new region schedule, there's a region on the 25th. So any students going for advanced regents diploma that needs to take it will be locked out of graduation. So it's on the 26th, and it will be on our field finally after 2 years. The seniors are super excited about that. If you haven't done your FAFSA form yet and you are a senior parent, it's after January 1st. You really should be moving on getting that stuff done. Even if you think you don't qualify for money, you should still do it because you may qualify for academic money, which doesn't go on income, but they still have to have the papers on file to give you the money. So you should really try to get that done. We have plenty of support here if you need help. Scholarships are still rolling in. 2 scholarships came in today, and I sent them up to the college office. They go up on Naviance. So keep looking. They keep rolling in from now until the end. Even if it's $100 here, $500 here, $1,000 here, it all helps. Books, supplies, transportation. So March 1st starts spring sports. So for those of you, it's a big season for us. I think we have over 20-something teams that start March 1st. You need to get your medicals in. So if you need to make those appointments, make them now, because if you get close and your child doesn't have enough practice time and you can't practice without a medical, you don't play the first few games until you have that practice time in. So make sure you do that in the permission slip as soon as possible. Parent surveys, please, I know it's annoying, I know it, but they trimmed it down to 1 page, and we're asking parents to, it's awful. Our percentage is below 30% filling them out. That's embarrassing. We have 100% of the staff fill it out, we have close to 90% of the students fill it out. Parents, you just don't fill it out, and then what happens is, that percentage gets calculated in our school grade, and it makes it look like we don't have the participation. We're going to be, the PTA has offered to raffle off a Nook with a case. A Nook in case. We'll still be giving out gift cards as well. We're trying, I think the student union decided that they want to do TikToks. I don't know exactly what they are, but there's some kind of video, something. They demonstrated it for me, and they want to do it with the student and their parent, and it's to some song, You Could Do It, and they're going to hold up the survey that they did it. So they're going to run this challenge, and they want to try to make it viral through the city, but they want to be the kids who started it here and send it out to the city. So they're excited about that. I'm not doing a TikTok. I don't know how to do it, but they said they'll teach me. On the academic front, our virtual enterprise teams, now we run 3 businesses here. All 3 businesses made it into the citywide competition from the corporate center. So they are practicing, they're little behinds off. I can't even tell you, they're here all hours. They're presenting, like one of the teams is presenting to the administrative cabinet on Friday. I was up with another team yesterday. I'll be with another team tomorrow, giving them feedback, asking them possible questions that they may be asked during the competition. but they're really excited. One is a service firm. They do professional development for firms like sexual harassment training and other regulation training. One company sells ice cream, and one company sells like tracking devices for like pocketbooks and phones and stuff like that. So they have really good products. They have great business plans. Their grades are really high on their business plans. And so now the oral presentation is on the 28th, which of course interferes with the leaving for the senior trip. So we were able to find money in the budget, and we purchased an extra bus. So we're sending the bus to the city to pick them up at the UFT building on Broadway. And those students will have their 2 chaperones with them, and I believe it's 10 or 15 students that are in the competition. They will leave straight from there on the coach bus and go straight to the senior trip. So we did that so that they didn't feel that they were missing out. March 17th, mark it on your calendar. I know it's St. Patrick's Day, but it's the last day of the first marking period. So they have a lot of time to do what they have to do to get the grades. They have to remember that all 3 marking periods are averaged in marking period 4, and that's how they receive their grades. So we need them to do well. They can't throw away a marking period because each one counts. And Allison's going to talk a little bit more about the parent classes, but again, we're offering parent classes. The specific titles of each class, Allison will share. She brought papers to hand out. But it's all throughout March 4th, 11th, 18th, 25th. We offer dinner. It's really good for you to get in here and mix with other parents so that you know that the issues are all the same. But we're doing everything from college application processes to NCAA information for those of you who have athletes going to college and all of that. So I hope, like Janice just said, I hope you come for the next few months because it's a lot of information that we like to share. I'd like to see you here. I love UAU. I'm happy that you're here. Sharif and I just spoke the other day about bringing on some of our technology students to work with us here in the technology program. There's such great opportunities, even for students with IEPs. We have great jobs for them, and we support them quite a bit. So, and it's good for their college resume that they had jobs in the summer as well. So I'm going to run to Patrides. If you need me and you have questions for me, please just email me on Pupil Path, and I promise I will get back to you. All right? Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, please. And please don't drop them off outside across the street. Please. Because I got the bus to move up now, and now they don't want to move up because they said the cars are stopping across the street and dropping the kids off. It's so dangerous. It's so dangerous. Huh?
Do you want to, Allison, do you want to talk about,
Do you want me to do spring classes?
yes,
real quick?
just
Okay.
before, just real quick before we go on?
I left this for everybody to see if you need a copy. It's also on our Facebook page. I also did email. There was just one typo. I'd like to know by March 2nd, which is the Monday, it starts on March 4th. There are 4 different classes. Each class runs for 4 weeks individually. But say you go to College 101 for 11th graders, and the next week when you speak with the instructor, they said, I'm doing this, and you already know about it, you can jump down to like athletics at the college level. So you don't have to go to all 4 of the same, but we just like to know a number, so we have plenty of dinner for everybody.
Sent you the
Yes.
coming, but you have to go to all 4.
No, but just let me know if you're not planning on coming, because we do order a big spread for dinner for everybody, and I don't want to waste money. And I like to say food, because there is tons of food here. Miss D makes it like it's her house. So it's very, very important. It starts at 5:15, the classes start. You come in a little early to sign in. And there are some really, really good classes. It's College 101 for 11th graders, if you have an 11th grade student, post-secondary for IEP students. We also have athletics on the college level. A lot of people don't know, like, hey, I have a kid who's a great athlete, but what does he or she need in regards to grades and SATs? You don't qualify for all divisions of the athletics unless your grades are at a certain level as well. And then we have college planning for 9th and 10th graders. So it's really getting feet wet in that atmosphere. I also want to stress, Miss DeAngelis fought for that bus stop to be moved. It is very, very important that you guys do not block that. That is for the children to come across in that crosswalk. And parents are stopping there, the bus drivers are now getting aggravated, and we fought really hard for that added safety. Drive them up to the end of Mill Road, or the corner there. If you have to go into one of the parking lots, they're crossing anyhow, but let them cross in a crosswalk. So we really would appreciate that, because I know she went above and beyond to make sure that we were crossing at that crosswalk, the kids. All right? Any questions, you can always email me or call me. My number's on everything, so.
This is true. Thanks, Allison. All right, everybody has a copy of the minutes. They were on the table, so I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from last month's meeting. Yes? Yes? We accept the minutes from yeah, that would be a yes. Raise your hand, somebody. And a second?
Just pause it.
Okay. And Jean Marie's gonna read the treasurer's report.
There was copies over there. We have bank interest, $1.62.
Woo-hoo.
Woohoo, bank interest. That's all we got last month, okay? I'm hoping our fundraisers will come. We have a whole list of them. We didn't do those yet.
What?
The fundraisers.
No, but we will.
Could I have a motion to approve? And a second? I don't know.
I can't see.
Oh.
Your name?
Christina Rodriguez.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on here is the schedule of the PTA meetings. Make note, I want to see you all back next month. May is very important because you're going to elect your new officers for next year. So May is a very, very important meeting. And June is when we have our,
Installation dinner.
our installation dinner. Anybody is welcome to come. I believe it's going to stay in the same range of 35, 40 or so per person. That's where the new installed officers will be the new officers will be installed. The old officers like myself and, am I the only one here tonight that's
Yes.
leaving? Okay, there are 3 of us on the board that are leaving, that are graduating out, so your new officers will be elected in. So make it a priority to try and get to these next 3 meetings. And if you would like to come to the dinner, you're more than welcome. We actually have a lot of fun. It will be at Juliana's, yes, it says, I don't know if it says it on here, but it will next month. Anybody have seniors? Seniors, okay. On the table, there are 2 scholarships at the PTA, the Staten Island Federation of PTA. They're $2,000 each. One is an essay, one is an art. Your children could do one or the other or both. Like Ms. DeAngelo said, every little bit counts. So pick up that paperwork. It is due in, I think, right, Allison, are you taking those in there, and by you?
The college office is taking.
All right, the college office is taking them. They're due by February 25th, so we don't have a lot of time. Get them in, get them there. It's really a nice amount of money if they win 2, if they win 1. The boosters. So also the Staten Island Federation of PTAs sent out a sheet. The boosters are $5. It goes in like the journal that they put out. If you just put you can put your name, and your name will show up in the journal. So we have it here. Jean Marie has it. If you'd like to give $5, donate $5, and we'll send in the sheets so that your name appears in the PTA Federation of PTA boosters.
That's how they get the money for the scholarships.
Yes, and that is how they get the money for the scholarships. We also give, I believe, how many scholarships do we give the PTA of 200?
4.
I don't think we give more. Anyway, we have to check how many we give, but we give to graduating seniors. We're gonna have our essays out by March. They'll be emailed to you. I believe it's 8.
No, it's 8 underclassmen.
8 underclassmen? Okay, we have to look and see how many seniors get a $200 PTA scholarship from our fundraising efforts. So that question for an essay will be emailed out to everyone and available at the March meeting. They have until I think May to do that, and get that into us. Again, I'm gonna say the parent surveys, please, please, please get them in. We're donating a Nook, that's gonna be the grand prize. There'll be gift cards and kind of other things that'll be raffled off. just because you clicked yes, no, maybe so to 3 questions. It's so easy to do. It really, really is. It's not that hard.
And you can do it right online. You can always call me
Absolutely.
with the survey code that you need for your student.
Exactly.
Just call the office. I always have a copy with me. Or email me and I'll email you back.
And as Allison said, our parent classes start March 4th. Our PTA email address, if you have any questions, you need us to help you with something, it's right here, pta@newdophs.org. We check it a lot. PTA fundraisers, please, 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 please come to our PTA fundraisers. It's not happening, people. You're just not coming. That means that you're not giving back to your own children. If we have a PTA fundraiser and you can't make it, I get it. But we do a lot of fundraisers. We see very few parents at them. We just had a fundraiser last week. It was a bust. So our next fundraiser is March 20th. We're having a paint night. Manresa Council was kind enough to let New Dorp have the room for nothing. We're paying not a dime. It's $25. I personally don't paint, but I'm going anyway. Don't care. It's to support my kid. That's all it is. It's to support my kid. It's to support your kids. Do it. Support your children. The PTA supports your children. All of the money that we raise go back in sports, clubs, anything that they're involved in, SLCs, everything that we raise goes back to them. So we need the parents to help us, help your kids. That's how we give our scholarship money to our seniors, and even our underclassmen get scholarship money every year. That's how we give back. So you have to help us give back. Please, just come to the fundraisers, come to the meetings. Please help your kids out and spread the word. If you tell, it's like telephone. Just tell people, come to the fundraisers. Just help us out here. So we have the paint night fundraiser March 20th. Applebee's Dine Out. We just determined the date tonight. That's going to be March 19th. That's the night of parent-teacher conferences here in the school. So we're going to have the flyers. Applebee's has to make the flyer for us, so I have to email them. So they're going to make the flyer. We're going to send them out. We're going to email them to all the parents, print it out, bring it with you, put it on your phone, bring it with you. The flyer will say we get 10%, but because John is so good to us over there, the manager, he's giving us 20% of sales that day, if you have the flyer. So that's what we get. So please, please go, everybody goes to Applebee's. And if you're coming here for parent-teacher, go anyway. So that's Thursday, March 19th, paint nights Friday, March 20th. Yankee Candle, we're gonna have online, I think by next week, right Denise?
Yes.
By next week, it'll be online. You'll also get an email. It'll go on the parent page, how to purchase Yankee Candle, and that's gonna be ongoing.
And that's nice because nothing has to go back to the school. Everything's online. So if you need a birthday gift in 2 weeks, you could go online, order it, comes right to your house, but yet you help the kids.
Right.
So it's really, it was worth it.
Right. An Amazon fundraiser, go to smile.amazon.com, select New Dorp, anything you purchase, everybody purchases Amazon, I don't care what you tell me, everybody. So whatever you purchase, we get a percentage from your purchases. Tonight we have sweatshirts and t-shirts. Sweatshirts are $10, t-shirts are $5. If you want them, they're over there, come see Liz, they're really cheap. There are New Dorp, who's got it on?
No.
Stand up.
Model.
It's that one.
We
So,
only have a few sizes
yeah, we only
left.
have a few sizes left, so, I mean, at $5 and $10, it's.
They shrink.
So.
And they can be worn for gym.
Yes.
They can be
Yes,
worn
they
as
can
gym
wear
wear.
them, if the kids wanna wear them for gym, they can wear them for gym, if you wanna wear them, you can wear them.
And tomorrow's School Pride Day, so they're
Oh,
supposed
yes.
to wear their New Dorp shirts tomorrow. or
They'd be
their
perfect for
SLC.
paint night too.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so anything that's going on in February or March, it's down here below, and I'm done. And now I'm gonna give it over to you to talk about SYEP, UAU, and people getting jobs.
People getting jobs. Amen.
Hi.
Hi. Good evening, everybody. How many of us here know UAU, or at least by name? It's a solid coming up on 65%. I used to be an English teacher, not a math teacher. My name is Michelle. I am the Education and Training Coordinator for the Workforce Division of UAU. So I'm here with my colleague Rashida, who will speak a little bit more extensively about SYEP. We are all here because the email said SYEP. Is that a fair assumption? Yes, yes, yes. No, that's great. The fundraisers are great. We jotted some of those down. UAU would be happy to support. We are here definitely to talk about the Summer Youth Employment Program. I will ask that you kindly indulge me for about 3 minutes prior to that, just to talk to you a little bit more about resources, funding, how young people get jobs. It's also known as the census. How many of us know the census is this year? Yes? So again, that's a third of the room, but I want the whole room to know that the census is this year. We are 26 days away from the mailing of the national census. It's every 10 years. This year UAU is really, and I promise this will connect us to SYP. This year UAU is really committed to the work at the very ground level of getting Staten Island counted. So if you know UAU by name, which it sounds like a lot of us do, you know we've been in Staten Island for over 40 years. You know we are ground level community-based services, and that education and youth development is a really, really important part of our work. That ties right into the decennial census or the 10-year census, because the way our young people are funded and supported through initiatives like CBO's UAU, but also through public school and the leadership of these institutions, is through having an accurate count. So we committed to this because the city put on our radar that in 2010, which was the last time we had our census, Staten Island's self-response rate was 66%. Yeah. So a third of our island didn't actually step forward and say, hey, we live here, this is how much money we make, these are the resources my household could use. So a full third of the island. If we look at demographics, there's a little bit of a split, North Shore, Mid-Island, South Shore, but when we average it out, we are one borough, and we are only 2/3 properly represented. So I just wanted to come tonight and really put that on everybody's radar. If you don't know a lot about the census, we will be doing a lot more ground level work than a 3-minute, please listen to me. We'll be doing workshops, we'll be doing social media engagements and education videos over the next 2 months. These mailers will roll out to you March 12th. This year, 2020, will be the first year that the census is available online, and about 80% of us are going to be asked to do it directly online. So let's think about the vulnerabilities there, folks who maybe won't be comfortable with that for security reasons, or the iPhones are a little small, or we just don't want to do that in our home. UAU's hosting pop-up centers, support centers, and again, those workshops to kind of navigate some of that. Just mark it down. When the mailer comes, you should expect it around March 15th to 20th or so. Don't throw it in the trash. What happens when you throw it in the trash is then the government comes and knocks on your door. And nobody really wants the government knocking on your door. People are going to get paid good money, $28 an hour. It's a little bit more than SYEP, to come and knock on your door. But we want to get ahead of that, because then we lead to inaccuracies. I know in this community itself, we've got funny situations where people aren't comfortable, things like basement apartments, second tenancies, and maybe you don't really want to own up to how many people are in a given unit, but without that, we lose money for free and reduced lunch, we lose money for local leadership, we lose money for disability funding because our populations are not accurately reflected. So I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar. I have these little cards that I don't need you to do anything with tonight. I really just want you to have them. If we don't mind just taking one and passing down the row. They're just informational. There is a place where you could sign your pledge that you will take the census. That'll help my numbers and it'll be wonderful, but I'm not just here for numbers. What I want you to have here are a couple of those bullet points. The reminder that doing those 10 questions for about 10 minutes next month is going to impact the next 10 years. Funding that we secured to fix the drain sewers in Dorp which of course haven't been built yet, but $77 million got approved 2019 population data from 2010 to prove that there were people that live in this community that deserve infrastructure improvements. So this is a long haul, and I just want it on your radar that this stuff will affect us till 2030. Okay? Our sites here for UAU are also on there for your reference. And thank you for indulging me. Let's talk about making your kids money, because the 2020, 2030 money is a little ways off. SYP is where it's at. Funding for programs like this, based on demonstrated need. Need gets demonstrated by population counts. Brings us right back to the census. I work primarily with our YY, or our Younger Youth contract for SYEP. So those of us in the room who have freshmen and maybe some sophomore students, 14 and 15-year-olds, that's a lot of my responsibility. It's that education component. We do service learning, so I'll speak a little bit to that first, and then I'll introduce Rashida, who can do a lot more on the nuances of the contract, the process, and the older youth. But for the parents here of 14 and 15-year-olds, that opportunity is service learning, essentially. Okay, there's some parameters, of course, about putting them into the workforce directly prior to being 16. It's not just because UAU wants to hold them in a classroom. Trust me, a lot of my job is to get them out of the classroom as much as possible over the summer. It's a work in progress. If anybody had Younger Youth with us last summer, you know it's a work in progress. But what service learning means really is we're engaging young people in career exploration. So we do a lot of looking at different industries, and then also the personality sets, the skills that they have, both hard skills and soft skills, and how we can develop that over the summer to lead into gainful employment, yes, when they're 16 in SYEP again, and then down the road in their adult lives. So we do career exploration, we tackle some community issues, we look at civic engagement issues, really from like high level. Last year we did some census stuff, down to the boots on the ground, like there's too much trash, how do we call the sanitation department and get more trash cans on our strip? That was one of their projects. The projects are as best as possible youth-led. We come to them with ideas, we come to them with some like starter issues, and our facilitators are largely educators who work with young adults and adolescents and coach them through the process of professional communication, logistics, budgeting, executing a project as part of a group. So we really try to start at that ground level with the 14 and 15-year-olds and say, these are some of those workforce skills that will benefit you in the long term, that will make you better SYEP interns when you turn 16. How can we do that while also impacting the community? Obviously in a positive way. So that's the long and short of it. The younger youth, which I'm sure we'll tackle questions in a few minutes, but the younger youth, they do get paid a stipend, not an hourly wage. So we want to be really transparent about that. That's not a UAU decision. It's not just our organization. That's going to be any provider across the city. It again has a lot to do with labor laws and what happens to an eligible employee at the age of 16. So your youth stipend for 14 and 15-year-olds is $700 for the summer. It's paid out weekly, so it's broken down into chunks. I think they peak, I think the first 2 weeks are a lesser amount, and then they peak as you get further into the program. The younger youth contract or participation runs 3 days a week for 5 hours a day. So it's a total of 15 service hours, quote unquote service hours, but it's a valid internship. It goes on their resumes. In the final week, we do a big day of action where everybody's coming out, sharing their projects. Last year we were meeting and greeting with elected officials, other community organizations. And on the flip side of that, we all sit down and we say, how do we put this on our resume? Because I'm 14 years old and I have no idea what I just did all summer. Tell me the words. So again, I started by saying I'm an English teacher, not a math teacher, so I'm all about the words. I tell the young people your resume is the best version of the truth. Here's some great action verbs for what we did this summer. And that's another kind of opportunity to coach that workplace experience. So we really take it from leadership development in week 1 through project execution, weeks 3, 4, 5, and in week 6, we really highlight the full scope of what we've done, and prepare them to move on with resume building, and how to hunt for letters of recommendation and other opportunities as a result of it. And we at UAU really try to turnkey that throughout the school year when other opportunities come up. So 15-year-olds, for example, and maybe Rashida will speak more on this, 15-year-olds who then turn 16 could become eligible for our Work, Learn, Grow program, which is like winter SYEP. We also do internal hiring. So my census team that I had to come and pitch a little bit tonight, we actually just hired 2 SYEP interns from this past summer, one from McKee High School, one from Staten Island Tech, and they are straight up active on the team. They get 15 weekly hours from us. They're working. They're still in school, they're part-time, obviously, but those opportunities will come up as you get situated and get to know the team and build your skills with us. So great opportunity for the younger youth. I'm really passionate about that side of the contract. I will be happy to take quick questions, I guess, on younger youth before I introduce Rashida if we want. Or we could think about it. I talk fast too, so like process. Process, it's fine. Let me introduce Rashida, who's gonna speak a little bit more about our older youth as well as our special initiatives.
Hello. Hi. Alright, I'm gonna hand these out for like a takeaway, but something tangible. There you go. Alrighty. So just to follow up the numbers for the 14, 15-year-olds, it's 700, 100 for the first 4 weeks, 150 for the last 2 weeks. 100 for the first 4 weeks weekly, and then 150 for the last 2. Oh, okay.
From the time that you handed the application, when, and I know it's a lottery.
I'm gonna go over the whole thing right now, and then any question, yeah, because it might come up or be answered. So just for any questions, if you hold them for the end, and then if I didn't go over, I'll go over that again, just for time purposes. It's going to be 16 to 21 for the lottery, which is going to open up on March 2nd, well, it's like a month from now. The application where you apply is gonna be right here, this link. It will be pushed into your schools. They'll get it from emails. If they applied last year, they'll get the email blast, they'll get text blast about them to come out and apply. So 16 to 21, $15 an hour, 25 hours from July until August. We have work sites all over across Staten Island in all different sectors. So if they're in retail, technology, if they want to do community centers, if they want to do camps, if they want to do offices, so many different fields that it's going to match everyone's interests for it. So once the application is released, every youth is going to go online to apply. Once you apply, if the lotteries go off and when you are selected, you have 3 days to bring in your documents. So those documents, I'll just speed through it, but it's going to be like an ID. If it's a school ID, you need your report card or transcript. Everything has to be within the last 6 months. You would need your working papers if you're 16 or 17. So 14 and 15-year-olds do not need working papers. You will need your birth certificate, social, proof of address, and proof of income. So just I want to note, when you're doing that proof of address, income, address for the utility bill, it can't be like the snapshot. It has to be the whole bill. So that Con Ed, the one with the corner, as well as everything on this side, that's very important when you submit that document. So within those 3 days, if you are selected, you bring in all your documents, and then you'll begin the process of orientation. After orientation, there's 2 of them. They must attend. They're 4 hours each. The first one is where they'll get like work readiness. So what is this like? What are your expectations? And then the second one, they will be job placed at the end of it. So that's how that process works. If, when the lottery goes off, let's say your child is picked, they have 3 days, they do not bring their documents in for those 3 days, they are put back into the lottery. The lottery is gonna keep going off up in throughout June, so by July it's gonna be over until the numbers are met. So that way it gives you options. So if you weren't picked in the first lottery, you still have a chance of being picked in the next lottery that is going off. And that's gonna keep happening until all the spots are filled, because again, youth might be picked, but they may not have their documents to bring in. So I want to say this: make sure all your kids have what they need now. So that way, when they are picked, they can, bring that in immediately. So when you're filling out the application, you want to make sure that their emails are up to date. Sometimes they fill it out without an email or a working email. If your child is not using their email, then you should put your email, because that is how you're going to be notified. You also want all your contact numbers to be up to date as well. So if they're phone call or texting, if we cannot reach you, that might be your little 3-day mark you're gonna miss. That's for March 2nd, that application will go live. Right now, we have special initiatives, this is on the back of the card. If you live in Stapleton, NYCHA, or West Brighton, NYCHA, those youth are exempt from the lottery. They still have to bring in documents, but they are guaranteed employment. If you have experience now or within the last 6 months, ACS, foster care, homelessness, or at risk of, or court or justice involvement, you are also guaranteed employment. They are exempt from the lottery. For that information, the contact is on the back. That's the only time you would apply, which would be myself or Natalia. Those applications are live now. You can always, like, no one's gonna raise their hand, you don't have to, it remains confidential. You should touch base with your guidance counselor, school social worker, or parent coordinator. They can streamline your youth to the right places. I think that was like the gist of it. I'll go over questions and maybe if anything I missed will come up.
Like going back to the 3 days that you have when you're chosen from the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, my daughter was in Albany for school,
Right.
and she missed the 3 days. She couldn't come home. She was chosen.
Mhm.
She couldn't get home, and she missed out. She didn't get a position then. And
Right.
She wasn't recalled. My question is, now that I have one in Albany and one in Buffalo, if they are called, can I bring their documentation in?
So, because that would so sometimes that happens, parents wants to come and bring it in for the youth. One thing when you come to that Castleton office and you're doing it, parents wait outside and the youth bring it in. In order for me to tell you yes, that would not be fair because it's going off for everyone. So that might happen for multiple people and we wouldn't be able to make that promise across the board. So I'm like, yeah, we can do that for you, and then someone else that doesn't happen to. A lot of times, youth can't make it. If they have another job or they're in school, they could be in high school in Staten Island or wherever the case is, and they can't come, we can't guarantee them the spot, and to do that, it would make a bigger chaos. Because
So
the
there's
parents would be
nothing
coming
that
from the
they
youth.
If they can't fax, if they can't email, they can't.
No,
do
it's the 3
anything.
days, and that's just because, again, it's lottery based to give everyone the opportunity. It's lottery based and every school's applying, every youth is applying, so to give everyone the opportunity, it's the 3 days. There is a chance they may still be called again, like you said, it didn't happen, but we don't run the lottery system, they're picked randomly.
The one thing I think we could do just on behalf of this question is further clarify to get an absolute definite from the funder. But in our experience, it has been that the youth participant themselves needs to submit. But we can speak with our provider and our manager on that end. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the city's decision. It wouldn't be an internal choice.
Right.
It would be whether or not DYCD will accept something like a written consent. But we can kick that back to our administrative team and find out if there's a different answer for you.
Okay, thank
And then you could just send that question to the email, or meet me after contact info, and I can follow up with you that way, you're not lost. Yeah, go for it. There was another
I mean, it
question?
is a little unfair that kids that are away at school lose
Yeah.
out because of that.
Right.
They're in school, you know? And
Yeah, we don't make
so-
the rules.
No, I mean, it's not against you, but it is
Yeah.
a little unfair that they're not accommodated as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
We can
It's
definitely
almost
push
like
that
trying to
back
Make
and
sure
find out.
everyone
Yeah.
like is balanced and happy.
right.
But, so if she sends me the question, follow up, or if that's the thing, we'll send that out, parent coordinator, any questions or updates, if that's something that comes up often.
Right, excuse me, if my son is called, let's say, on that email or whatever we get, will it say exactly what we have to bring?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so what I just told you, it will tell you what documents to bring.
Okay.
Printed application, sign it. If they come in with that, that I think is definitely a requirement, and the confirmation page that they apply. But when you get it, it will tell you what to bring in.
Okay.
So with regard to what this one was just saying,
Yeah.
maybe I missed it, what is the actual date that the document, the application for the older
Youth
college students are due by?
So the application comes out March 2nd. Everyone should apply. The lotteries go off. That's gonna be based on when the city releases the date. So usually they give them about like a month to apply, month and a half to apply, and the lotteries start going off. So March lotteries might begin going off in April.
Right,
So
so
the-
that's, right, with regard to what you're saying, that these are all the two months.
Right. So yeah.
I
So
have another younger one, but, so what she was saying, and it seems problematic because he's done SYEP since he was 15 here. How can you be in two places
at one time, exactly.
And so, and it's confusing to me, and I get your end of it, so, and I know you have control over it, but they can't come down from Albany to be on Castleton Avenue
Right.
to reduce whatever they need to
Yeah.
reduce. I mean, I've driven down there, I understand how it works, but now that he's college age, this is the first time that So you're saying that you guys are just gonna take it and ask?
Yeah, so piggyback, we will follow up, so that's why I gave her my email, so you can directly follow up. Just because it's not like, oh, I'll answer your question and then you never hear anything. We will have an answer whether the city approves us or not. If they say yes or no, I'll let you know.
And if I
what
can
the
jump
odds are.
in, this is also part of why, particularly this year, we want to do more pushing in, and this really speaks to both questions that were just asked regarding the checklists, and then here with the college students. The UAU team is trying to get in front of participants and their parents a lot more this year, and be proactive in hearing what these concerns and these challenges are. Because we do, quote unquote, push back, but often it's like when the application is out and everything is crazy and everybody's already upset. So everybody, we are, you are. So part of us trying to be ahead of this and coming to a PTA meeting in February is for us to hear these exact questions and go to our grants manager before that application even comes out so we can say, hey, the parents need to know X, Y, and Z. And to the question about checklists, our team is also, Rashida's team, and then our OY team as well, is pushing in and speaking with students throughout February and March to put this on their radar. Part of that push in, we're calling it, push in process is not just those FAQ cards, but they will have checklists. So that by the time your students see us in March, those checklists will be stapled to whatever flyer we also give out, and they will come home with the document checklist in their backpack so that they can get ahead of that. And usually a trip to some of the relevant offices in the school can also help them get ahead of that.
The 16 plus,
Mhm.
now let's say they graduated high school, do they have to be in college to apply?
No. No. And then also if they're working, I find a lot of you, when you get older, you probably already have a job. The jobs we have are flexible. So sometimes have part-time, sometimes there's weekends, sometimes they're evening. So they still are able to have 2 jobs if they want to in the summertime.
When you're trying to figure out placements for the students, especially the younger youth, do you take into consideration how far the placement is from where they reside?
Yes. So especially for the younger youth with the schools, we have schools from North Shore to South Shore, but you don't, it's all on, once you get picked, you bring in your documents and you make that appointment on Eventbrite they send out on Eventbrite and you register. So it's first come, first serve, because spots of course are limited, no matter where you go. So if you get that and they're picked, you want to make sure you're coming in with that first appointment to pick their school. But the schools will be finalized later on, and then they'll see what their choices are.
The positions that they go to, is it by kids' interests or by what's available?
By interest. So during orientation, they are given like a survey, they do what their interests are, so you're gonna label like first, second, third, and then we go over what they choose. So your interest may be technology, but if you cannot go to Staten Island Tech to do technology, as example, then you might have to do something else, and that's when it's centered, focused on what the youth wants. So we're trying to support them in, starting their careers and getting employment. We're not gonna push here, go work at a camp, here, go do this. It's what the child wants. That's also important when you're having those conversations with your youth as well, just prepping them like this is the real world. Like you might really want this job, but if it doesn't work with your schedule, you can't do it. You should still take what else is available because it's still $15 an hour and you were still chosen, so to take advantage of that.
For perspective on how jobs become available, we do have a dedicated job development team. So that's something that we work on all year long to try and accommodate the different interests and the different skill levels of young people entering the workforce. So our job development team, they exist year round. They have, I think we're over 600 work sites in their portfolio. And that, yes, a lot of retail, yes, a lot of education, but always getting more in the financial sector, in the business and the law sectors. And we're working really hard this year on trying with the digital, the marketing, because we know that that's a high interest. So yeah, just to put it out there, we definitely do the best that we can as far as what the youth put out there as their interest. And our job development team will take that, bless you, at the end of every summer and try and apply that into their next year's work. That's what they do in the off season. Yes.
Something was mentioned about kids with IEP.
Could be. They're welcome to apply.
Yeah.
Yep. If they're younger youth with IEPs, they would still be integrated to the service learning components of 14 and 15-year-olds. And our education team does the best that we can to match with facilitators who are experienced working with IEP students, so that curriculum content and basically work assignment within service learning is appropriate for the IEP, any indications or modifications that exist. For older youth, my understanding is the application process runs essentially the same.
It's the same. The required document is you have to provide that IEP. So sometimes you can get it from your school. Sometimes they don't actually have the IEP. There's other document they're receiving services that you can bring in that's dated. But once you put that, you have to bring that in. So let's say you checked it off and you don't have that document. That's something that's going to be required within that 3 days. As far as work sites, we do have jobs that are able to accommodate when someone has a disability. So depending on the range, so I won't say that for overall, depending on what the disability is, high functioning, low functioning, accessibility, that's going to be taken into consideration. You just want to make note of that. So.
And the relevance there is that the city does track that, and while it's not, while Youth with Disabilities is not its own contract per se, there are dedicated spots, and the city does have an interest in tracking those numbers and ensuring that there are X amount of accommodating accessible jobs for youth coming to the table with IEPs and disabilities in general. So that's something that we do track internally.
So, I was just gonna say, does that include 504s?
My understanding is it does. And I will note it as a follow-up.
Yeah, please.
What if the child who has a IEP but wants to go in as a regular, because he's growing out
They
of
can.
it?
So that application, we only know if they have a disability if you check off disability.
So he can
So
go as a
if-
regular,
yes.
because he's growing out of it.
Exactly. So that, again, that's on you to disclose. It still remains confidential. So even if you checked off disability, no one would know your youth has a disability unless it was like a physical one, but no one would know. It's on you to report that, and that's just so that we can accommodate them fully if they are placed. So if they do have a disability but they're high functioning, but something comes up that might bring that out, if no one knows, that might, at work. So that's why it's meant for them. But if you don't want to and you feel comfortable with it again, then that's okay. But just keep in mind that that may come up in the workplace depending on where they're working or whatever their skill set is.
Yes, sorry, not to, I'm paying attention, but I'm getting lost.
Oh,
I have a younger than 15 here with an IEP.
Okay.
So I understand everything you were just saying, but I'm not clear on, I got what you're saying, but I don't know if I processed.
Okay?
So basically, so you're saying they're taking into account, obviously, the severity of a disability and, accommodating them as best they can. Also, on the other end is, so I received a notification earlier today, and an email, and basically, that I was clear on, said he needed to fill out a paper application as opposed to like my older kid who will do it online. So I made him go to the college office today, and he got the paper application, and the notification and email did say that we have to submit the top page of the IEP.
Who did that email come from?
So one was a general email from the school, and I think one was, the notification came, generally, over pupil tab from Ms. Souza.
Yeah, that's not a SYP, SYP, anything for youth, like, general didn't come out yet unless it was one of those special initiatives, so that email was not directly from us.
No, I wasn't saying, no,
Oh,
it wasn't from you guys.
Oh, yeah,
No,
so
it
that
was
might
from
be,
you, Dorp.
oh, okay.
No, so that's what I'm saying, so I'm confused, because you guys, someone just posed the question.
Yeah.
That someone with an IEP could apply online or not.
Yes.
Did in fact submit that.
Yeah, so that application
So he's
process is
allowed.
separate. He should have, on March 2nd, regardless of whatever application mail you got, he would still apply online for SYP.
Right, but I wouldn't necessarily have to.
Yes, no, you wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, unless you check off that he has a disability. So if on the application you check off, Tom has disability, then you have to provide the IEP. If you do not check it off, then we will not know he has a disability because we don't do apps through New Dorp. So we wouldn't be asking for it. But that may come up in his work site, like if it comes up where something prevents him from working successfully, then that's why we would be needed. So we could accommodate him, but yeah.
I'm sorry there's some confusion around that.
I'm sorry to be a pain.
No, there's only a couple of stipulations where
Things have changed.
Things have changed.
I made him go for a physical 2 weeks ago. He got clearance, the certificate. I made him get the working card yesterday. And now this changed from when my kid was 15.
And the city loves that paperwork, so there's always gonna be more paperwork.
So I think this, I'm calling myself crazy.
Yeah.
Now it's, they don't need a working code in 14 or 15.
On the flip side of this meeting, we're happy to kind of take a peek at that email you received if you wouldn't mind. There are a couple of options where you, and this is for the floor here, where you may be requested to do a paper application. Those situations could come up with the special initiatives. So some of our participants who might be exempt from the lottery process or have other routes to SYEP employment, they may be asked to do a paper application to come into our special initiatives just to minimize the craziness and work directly with Rashida and her team. The other alternative is sometimes if there is a school provider, I'm not confident that that's the case here, but just so that you know, that's another possibility where a school-based provider would have quote-unquote first dibs and they would want a paper application from you. So we're happy to look at that though as a follow-up, and if anyone is approached about a paper application, it will either be UAU in March, like please come join us, or it will be for Rashida and her team for those participants who would be exempt from lottery.
All right, thank you.
Of course, 1 and then 2.
Okay, so for the 14, 15-year-olds, it's only the only thing available would be the
Service learning.
service learning.
Yes.
Got to go through the online application for that?
Correct.
Okay.
There is younger youth for special initiatives as well, so if they do fit one of those criteria boxes, they can still apply for special initiatives and be integrated to the service learning for YY. Otherwise, yes, standard online application, and service learning is currently the only opportunity there.
Okay.
I had one and then we'll come back up.
For the younger, is there a date, like dates of when they'll be employed? You know, like when,
The work schedule
when
is
it'll start, like in July?
Everybody starts July 6th.
Oh.
Have your July 4th weekend and then come on in. I say July 6th, except the YYs actually will probably work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which will make it July 7th. But don't, not set in stone, just like a probably.
And through the end of August?
July 6th to August 14th.
August 14th is the last date. It's a 6-week run.
Can I just ask one question? What happened if, like, you know, they go on vacation and they have to miss a week?
Don't tell the program coordinator.
That's where it's gonna be, you know, professionalism and skills. So if you're going to a work site, I wanna work at Party City. When you get to that site, you meet your manager, you wanna let them know you're going on vacation. So that if they're like,
Well, he's
oh,
only 15, so it's.
oh, you mean for the,
Yeah.
oh, so if you, when, for 14 and 15, they
Yeah.
have to work at least the 12 hours to get their stipend. If they go on vacation, that's fine, they just won't get paid that week for their stipend.
Okay, okay,
So they won't make 700, they'll make 600 because they're missing the full week.
okay.
Make sure just enforcing 2, 14 and 15, they have to work 15 hours, but if they work, if doctor notes you need if you're missing a full day. Because they might think, I worked 10 hours, I only missed 1 day, I can't even get $50. That's how the program's run. We cannot. You have to come with like supported document, like this is from my doctor, this is why I didn't work the hours.
No,
if you're
I'm
gonna
just
miss.
saying, like, I mean, we
Yeah.
don't have to show that we're going.
No,
away or
that's just,
something.
you don't get paid because you didn't work the hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you had some?
Yeah, if you have a student that has an IEP just for one class, do you just apply for?
As Rashida said, you, excuse me, that would be your prerogative. You don't have to indicate that if you don't feel that it's necessary.
And just, you know, no one is discriminated, everyone's treated equally regardless if you have it or not. I have your app in front of me, I don't necessarily know you have a disability, I'm job placing you. So if that's people's like concern when it's about do I check off or not, it's personal choice, but like everyone's treated equally and placed equally and fairly, so. Very good.
It's a good run of questions, guys. We got follow-ups to do. Other questions? So again, if you're eligible for special initiatives, or rather you believe that your child is eligible for special initiatives, Rashida is the lady to see. She supervises that aspect of the programming. Otherwise, March 2nd is the date to watch. The UAU team members will be pushing into classrooms, I think that's true, from now through the end of March to encourage folks to sign up for this application and provide those document checklists. So always feel free to grab a UAU team member. I believe Allison has a few follow-ups for us on how to get the working paper process.
I do. If you need working papers, I do have them. They have to be returned to South 100. I do not know any specifics of it, I just wrote them as a courtesy. Your student should pretty much primarily go to, Ms. Krupi takes care of them. She's there from, I believe, like 8:30 in the morning. She does not, she leaves the office around 12 on break, and then she's back. But she will tell you what exactly needed. Does anybody need a copy tonight for their student? All right.
Was she the 14? No.
No, because they're not working. Stipend, internship, so they do not need them.
Is that a question in the back, or just for the working papers? Okay.
And then since we're coming into classrooms, you do just want to check in with your students, like if they have the FAQ checklist, so that way you're on it as well. You know, kids throw stuff in their book bags all the time. Once they start coming to the classrooms, you'll have it on as your own. You'll be like, did UAU come to your classroom today? And you'll know because we handed something out.
Thank you guys for having us, and
Ladies,
thank you for having us.
I'm gonna make a motion to close the meeting. So I'm making a motion to close the meeting. A second. What's your name, sir?
Doug Cahill.
Okay, if anybody wants t-shirts or sweatshirts, come see